Hello, everyone. I have been receiving so many messages from my guides and angels about the new year and how to best navigate this time that we're in. So I wanted to pop on here and share these notes with you with the hope that it gives you more peace, grounding, and focus as we step into 2021. This past year in my Divine Feminine Mastery Tribe, I chose a divinely assigned theme that we would explore each month. And kicking us off in 2020, the theme that came through from my guides and angels was undoing, which, as you can imagine, receiving felt very unclear at the time. What are we undoing? What is this relating to? As a theme, it felt vast and overwhelming, but little did I know they were preparing us for the year ahead, for the year of undoing, which we will forever know as 2020. This year really was a lifting of the veil to see all that does not work and has not worked for quite some time, that is in service to an elite few, to greed, corruption, abuse, and fear, instead of love, harmony, well-being, and abundance for all. Now, it's easy to look at the state of things right now and feel overwhelmed by uncertainty, but this is part of the shift back to a more balanced, sustainable, and peaceful world. In the healing process, things often get more intense before we find relief. And this is the divine feminine recalibrating the pendulum of this wounded masculine cycle we've been in for centuries, calling us back to our true nature, back into alignment with nature and her cycles and seasons of work and play and rest and creation, healing the soil within our hearts and of the earth, and redistributing resources so that we can all thrive as we were always meant to. Undoing is a process, and we will be in this process for a while, but my guides are just inviting you to trust what's happening, that there is a better structure or system to be put in place of the things that are falling away, which will be revealed in divine timing. But anywhere you are feeling resistance in your life, see if you can get curious about the possibilities that exist beyond what you currently know or can see, and surrender to something greater. But because we are human and the ego needs something to do or focus on that gives us a sense of control amidst all the change, my guides really wanted to offer up some invitations to support you as we move forward into 2021 and beyond. So first, make your well-being number one on your list this year. When your focus is, does this honor me? Is this nourishing and in service to my highest good? Does this align with or add real value to my life? Is this kind and loving to my body, mind, and soul? Then you are really orienting yourself towards a greater quality of life, by which only more good will come to you. Our bodies are going to be going through many energetic upgrades, as they have been, and we will need to support them with more rest, better nutrition, increased water intake, and upgrading, of course, the quality of water we drink, breath work, and movement, the form of which will vary depending on what we are moving through emotionally and physically. Be open to your routines and regimes changing, letting them be more intuitively guided than placing expectations on yourself that go against what your body actually needs at this time. Number two, as the new year is typically when we start to make those resolutions and large lists of things that we want to accomplish. My guides are really inviting us to pull back a bit from the usual goal planning. It's absolutely okay if you want to set intentions to give yourself a focus in areas you'd like to grow in, or if there are things you'd like to create or give your energy to. But as 2020 has shown us, plans can and will change. And the mantra, redirection is protection, is what you will want to remember this year. When it comes to goals, we can get very focused on the acquiring of material possessions, achieving a certain status, and needing the external world to appear in such a way that we think will make us happy. Those things can only add to your experience of happiness, but if you have not cultivated that state from within, they will only amplify the lack of true joy and fulfillment you feel. So when you sit down to write out any intentions, consider a reframe. Instead of, I want to make six figures, try, I want to create sustainable and supportive practices that help me maintain and grow abundance with ease and joy. Instead of, I want to lose 50 pounds, consider, I want to feel healthy, energized, and so intuitively connected to my body that I know what it needs to thrive and feel good. If a goal is going to set you up to feel pressure in order to achieve it, and then shame or judgment if you don't, then it is not in service to your well being and is part of the very wounded masculine cycle we are working to dismantle. Focus within on growing what you desire, and you will see that begin to grow in your external world. Number 3, as I mentioned earlier, your well-being is top priority this year. And as my guides are advising us to not lay out any 5-year plans anytime soon, the cue is really to slow down. Our nervous systems are still catching up and processing 2020. And for some of you, it has been such a destabilizing year that you will need time to move through all the emotions you haven't yet had a chance to address. It is essential you allow yourself permission to feel everything that is arising in you, especially grief and anger, without having a judgment about it. We've been taught to value emotions as good or bad, but really it's just a color on the wheel, and each one has a teaching and a healing for you if you give yourself permission to be with and receive from it. Healing is incomplete without feeling. So give yourself the space to process and move through all this year has triggered within you for your growth. The other key component to slowing down is that we come more into an intuitive rhythm that is inwardly directed versus externally focused. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it is winter, and this is a season of hibernation and rest, going within, reflection, healing, dreaming, and being in a process of creation. If you think about it, it's interesting that we would choose to start executing intense goals during this time, and why most of us realize halfway through the process that it doesn't work and it's not in alignment for us. Despite what season you are in, slowing down must be in the equation somewhere in your life, or else you will burn out. When we slow down, we catch up on the rest that is essential for our maintenance and well-being. And we also become more cued into our intuition and receive guidance from that higher inner wisdom than externally driven focus. And so this really directs us on the path that is most in service to our highest good. Number 4, one of the many gifts of 2020 is that it showed us just how much we are giving our time, money, and energy away to things that we don't actually value, but have been conditioned to believe that we need. Moving forward, my guides and angels are inviting us to look at simplicity and sustainability as models to build our life and work upon. Where can I simplify, streamline, and eliminate that which I no longer need? Where am I giving of my time, money, and energy from a place of expectation, inward or outward, that does not serve me or my family? Where can I generate more time, money, and energy through sustainable practices? Especially if you notice you keep falling into cycles of feast or famine, intense action followed by burnout. This is something that you will really want to pay attention to moving forward, as there's a powerful healing opportunity these patterns are illuminating for you. Number 5, you could say that 2020 was like the burst of a big, ugly, and painful boil that has been building for centuries. In order for us to have true healing as a collective, we must address the emotions we have been stuffing down, numbing, ignoring, and distracting ourselves from feeling. Anything that you have not emotionally processed cannot be healed from a mental understanding. It must be felt and then released. Emotion is energy in motion, meaning that energy, when it has nowhere to go, backs up until it finally bursts or manifests in some other form, such as dis-ease. We cannot be healthy, whole, and happy when we have secrets, traumas, or emotions we have not integrated, accepted, and processed. The distraction of technology, celebrity, and material things have made it easy to bypass the real work, the only work that will actually free us from our suffering. And when we each liberate ourselves from our emotional prisons, we heal the planet, because we are no longer walking the earth as wounded individuals, but as liberated and loving beings. As you move into the new year, it's important to become familiar with and accepting of your emotions and become comfortable and intimate with what is arising within you in each moment. But it is also essential and important to know your triggers so as not to get pulled into emotional traps. A trigger is just an unhealed wound awaiting your acknowledgement, presence, and healing. Release the need to focus on who or what triggered you and focus on what is being triggered within. This is where you will find your freedom. Number 6, as I mentioned above, this year was a lifting of the veil, much like pulling back the velvet curtain that exposed the not so great and powerful Oz in The Wizard of Oz. If there weren't 2 more significant reminders in a movie for us to remember, it's that nothing and no one is as powerful as God or love, no matter what kind of fear methods they use to convince you otherwise. And number 2, that we have and always have had the power to go home, meaning to return to who we truly are and reclaim our sovereignty. If every single human being were to awaken to their divine power, which is love, all these control and fear tactics being implemented would be laughable and completely ineffective. Anything motivated by fear is not coming from source. And that is not to say we should be unaware or uninformed about what is going on, but to cross-reference everything we see, hear, or read with our own inner wisdom and use discernment. Remember that anything you believe about yourself or about the world that comes from judgment or fear is something you've been taught. When you awaken to who you are, separate from your conditioning, you can no longer be controlled. And number 7, lastly, when it comes to your power, the way to radically and rapidly shift this world is through acts of service and love. Little or big gestures, it's not for you to judge, only for you to follow the inner nudge from your soul. We all impact each other in ways we can never possibly comprehend. And when we can consciously choose to impact others through love, peace, generosity, goodwill, and kindness, you create a ripple effect of good that becomes contagious. It feels so good to give because it's our true nature to do so. It feels so good to help a stranger in need because deep down, we know they are not a stranger at all, but our brother or sister, and a reflection of who we could be had we chosen a different path in life. As things continue to shift, it is more and more important that we take care of one another instead of expecting those we've elected to do it for us. This is sovereignty, reclaiming our power and ownership of our resources to support, invest, and grow our communities. It takes a village is not an idea. It's the truth of who we have been and where we are headed back to. So I hope these messages and invitations have given you peace and a beautiful focus for the year to come. As always, if you are wanting to dive deeper into your own spiritual healing journey, I'm available for limited one-to-one sessions. I will be opening the doors to the new Divine Feminine Mastery very soon. And if you are an empath and a light worker ready and wanting to radically shift into your power and purpose, check out my program, the Empath Codes. All of those links of which I will put in the comments below. So wishing you all a very happy and beautiful new year. God bless. Bye, everybody.